Hey, you're listening to Does It Hold Up, the show where we see if older movies hold up as well as review new ones. I'm Dima, and today my co-host Mary and I look back at a modern horror comedy classic, Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead, in preparation for his upcoming film Last Night in Soho. The film was co-written by and stars Simon Pegg in the lead role and takes a humorous look at the zombie genre. Hope you enjoy.
What did you think of Shaun of the Dead?
Well, Mary, 3 times in a row, controversial opinion. No. No, I'm doing the joke you did on the last episode.
Yeah.
No controversial opinion. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Awesome. I was going to say, podcast over.
Yeah, for real this time, if I didn't like this
time.
movie?
Yeah.
I don't remember when I watched this. Probably in high school. So probably like early high school. So like 10 or 12 years ago now since I last watched this. So like I had an idea, like for the most part, of what was happening. Like I knew what was going to happen, but a lot of it still felt very fresh to me overall. And certain things, like I didn't remember any of the specific jokes. I didn't remember a lot of the characters. So it really felt like a fresh viewing experience for me. So I was curious how I would react to it after all this time. I liked it back then, but I liked it now. I don't want to say if I liked it more or less. Pretty much my opinion's the same. Just really funny, solid, clever little movie. Mm-hmm. How about you?
I saw this film, if it wasn't when it was released, it was like a year-ish maybe after. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I saw it when it at least came out on video.
On video. 2004. You could say that in 2004. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, we're still making VHSs back then, right?
Yeah.
It's like the very tail end of that era, but yeah.
Yeah. And it was like instantly one of my favorite movies and has continued to be, and I've seen it, I don't even know how many times. It's been a long time since
I was going to say, when's the last time?
Seen it?
Yeah.
It's probably been like a good 7, 8, 9
So around
years.
The time when we met, probably a little bit, maybe a couple years before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But, I mean, I remembered everything.
Really?
I could probably quote lines from this movie.
So there wasn't much that was new to you, really?
No,
that's okay.
There were some clever things that I think, maybe I missed because I was watching it sober, which who knows when the last time that was.
Yeah, sure.
But no, there was some interesting things that like kind of stood out to me that I didn't remember. Just the cleverness of it.
The N-word.
The N-word.
Did you remember that?
I did not remember that.
It was a different time.
It was
7 years ago. I don't know. I didn't remember that. I mean, I saw it just the one time, but
yeah, I didn't remember that. I remembered some of the other maybe dated comedy in it, but that is one that I maybe blanked out of memory.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of
pretty strange,
really loving this movie.
Strange spot on this very well-beloved movie.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. So maybe that didn't hold up so well.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting right into it. Like,
yeah.
We can, let's get into that specifically. Like, there were a few lines and jokes, maybe, that didn't hold up, that a modern audience is going to see and hear and go, whoa.
Might be a little jarring, especially to, like, a younger audience that might just be watching this movie for the first time,
Absolutely. I mean, like we just said, what do I have? I didn't write all of them down, but the N-word.
Like, the N-word was the big one. There was a couple, like, gay jokes,
Yeah, he goes gay in response to Simon Pegg doing something sensitive.
Yeah.
Right? He said that was gay.
For saying he loved his girlfriend, which is like,
yeah,
totally.
I mean, obviously loving your girlfriend as a man is a straight thing to do, but showing any sensitivity as a man is gay. Or at least it was in 2004 through up until 2015.
Okay, like, to me, it was not 2004. It was like, that was middle school. And then it stopped.
Nah. That was in the culturals, like, people were saying, oh, that's gay. Up in like around 2015 when like I don't know what you want to call it, the wokening, when like people really started doubling down on things like that. That's about like when that kind of stopped. Not completely. I remember at my old job, this was like a year ago. I was in a casual conversation with a guy. He was just talking and he just said, oh, blah, 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 blah. That was so gay. And I was like, who talks that way? In 2020.
I've come across that recently as well too.
Where someone refers to something as gay, that's so gay.
Yeah.
Dang. I mean,
yeah.
That was my first time hearing something like that since around like 2015. Like, and I haven't heard it since, you know. So it's basically died off, you know, except for really, I guess, kind of immature people. And I'm not going to act all high and mighty. I use that word in a derogatory sense a lot growing up, so I'm not going to be like, oh, these fucking idiots.
Yeah.
No, we all did. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I mean, but
we all did.
I would say I was woke.
You were. You protested. You protested Bush in 2004. You're the coolest person I know.
I stopped saying like gay in that term, like I said, in middle school.
No, for me, it was, we were still saying gay. We were saying the F word, like, into 2011, 2012. Not proud of it at all, obviously, but it is what it is. And in this movie, I think most people hearing that kind of stuff are going to be like, it was a different time. For gay, it's a different time. The N-word bomb, that was jarring. Even 2004. I don't know if that was Simon Pegg or Nick Frost. Simon Pegg, I believe, is the top billed screenwriter on this. But I mean, I don't hold it against them today or anything. But
Simon Pegg or Edgar Wright, right? Like,
oh, did I say Nick Frost?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright are the two credited screenwriters. Nick Frost played Ed. So, we were talking about like some maybe dated language. What about the humor overall? Because, first and foremost, this is a horror comedy. I feel like this is more comedy than horror overall. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So,
there is nothing about this that I would call horror.
There's gore.
There's gore.
There's gore.
There's
some tense moments, but really it's like,
it's a comedy.
It's a comedy, and like it has some like character drama and some like rom-com elements to it.
Yeah.
In a way. And then there's also just kind of horrible things going on kind of around them,
Yeah.
But speaking on the comedy, did it work for you? I mean, I was in the same room with you, so I can answer that question, but tell the audience
of course.
The humor.
Of course. The humor is just as amazing on probably the 1,005th watch, whatever, as it was the first watch. I just, the writing is so good in this movie and like very clever. Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite sequences is just like when he's flipping through the channels before he realizes what's going on, and it's just like all of the channels just perfectly says what's happening.
Transition into the next channel and they finish the sentence.
And
it's clever.
It's so clever, and just the callbacks to stuff.
A lot of like callbacks, a lot of like setups and payoffs that work really well. A lot of little clever touches. Very clever script.
Yes.
And I would totally agree with that. You and I have kind of divergent tastes in comedy and humor in general. Like, I I don't know how we would describe it. You seem to like comedies more than me in general.
Yeah.
I don't know how else we could describe it.
Yeah.
Comedies in general are like kind of hit or miss for me. Mm-hmm. But I would say, yeah, this one was a hit. I was laughing quite a bit, you know. Mm-hmm. Sometimes full on like belly laughs.
Yeah.
Like when oh my God, when they first meet the zombie girl and they push her onto that pipe and she stands up.
Yeah.
And Nick Frost is standing there and he starts like
winding
the little camera. That was so funny. I was dying.
Yeah.
I would say the humor worked like 90% for me. There were a few like, I don't know, jokes or gags that like I thought were a little like, I see what you're doing, kind of kitschy.
Like what?
Like when they were throwing the records at their heads, I was like, okay, this is amusing. Like I get it. They're being bumbling, and they're doing something completely ineffective. I like the jokes around it where they were like, this album, like in this horrifically tense
that's the first
situation.
Pressing.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So that stuff's funny, but like the boobery of throwing random objects at their heads, that's where I'm a little bit like, okay, not totally my brand of humor, I guess, but not like, you know, bad or anything. Mm-hmm. And just there was just one or two moments like that I didn't completely connect with, but overall very clever, and on that note, like different types of humor, which I think would appeal to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. I would say that this movie is a good like introduction to British comedy humor. It's like, I mean, really accessible to Americans. This movie as well. I mean, like, you're gonna understand the majority of the jokes that are set up, but there's definitely some British humor in this as well.
Yeah. And just to note, you watched a lot of British TV.
A lot. I probably recognized every actor in this movie from something else that they've been in. Yeah, I recognized a lot.
I recognized Martin Freeman.
Well,
I didn't remember he was in this.
Right.
It is weird how he has no lines. And he's just kind of standing there in the background in one scene.
Yep.
Obviously, he's a pretty well-known actor now. He's in like Marvel movies, and he was in Sherlock.
Yep.
But no, background extra, literally an extra in Shaun of the Dead.
But all of the other actors in this movie are in a lot of really great movies and TV shows. So definitely, if you enjoyed it, there's a whole world of British comedies that, if you haven't seen, you will love.
All right. Check the description for Mary's detailed list of... No, it's not there. Don't look. It's not there.
It might take you to some weird places.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I loved about their take on zombies, and this has to, like, I mean, obviously it's part of the script itself, but I loved the idea that the zombies kept a part of themselves. Yeah,
that is an interesting take on it.
And it's just like, even like the like background characters, you know, you could still see that, like, you see a glimpse of their non-zombie, you know, life, and then you see them as zombies, and it's like the homeless guy's still walking the leash, but the dog is gone. Or like the kid that he's like, you're dead, you know. I mean, like, it's just,
there's a kid who kicks a soccer ball
at Simon Pegg
when he's coming home, or just earlier in the movie, and then he does it as a zombie too. So that's a nice way to tell the audience that these zombies have that little piece of who they were in them.
Or his stepdad turning off the radio.
So funny. And it proceeded with a line like, there's nothing of Philip in there anymore.
Yeah.
And then just immediately he turns the radio off.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so clever. It's so great. Lots of clever little setups and payoffs. I liked, like, I wrote a couple down that stood out to me. When the other Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's like roommate was always saying, close the fucking doors. And then later on, they kept the door open, and the zombie got in. They had to fight the zombie.
Yep.
the woman who was with them, who was an aspiring actress,
Mm-hmm.
she had a little payoff where she used her acting skills to teach them how to act like zombies, which got them to the pub.
Mm-hmm. Simon Pegg's character knowing like the electrical grid.
Yep, I got that one down. Yeah, he helped. Turn the lights
the correct
on,
lights on,
right,
in the Winchester,
because he worked at like an electronics store. So
and then I mean even just Nick Frost and Simon Pegg's characters playing video games and then shooting the zombies. I mean that also gets called back because the other characters are like, oh god, there's another one to the left, and Simon Pegg is like, whoa, what? And Nick Frost has to be like 11:30 and oh yeah, okay,
11:45.
Yeah,
not that specific. So flipping funny.
Yeah. One interesting thing to me in watching it now versus the last time I watched it was just COVID, right?
Yeah,
and
that's something to talk about. Yeah,
how this film.
There were like one or two lines, and I didn't write anything down. I didn't write those down, but there were one or two lines about like,
Well, like there was one where it's like the news channel is like, stay indoors, don't try to save anybody. And they like make this plan. Or Simon's like, no, we should stay indoors. And Nick Frost is like, do you believe everything you hear on TV?
Yeah,
you know?
And everyone died.
And everyone died.
Everyone that they tried to save died.
Whereas, I mean, short of Simon Pegg's mom and stepdad. I mean, the stepdad was going to die already.
Right.
Right, because he was bit. But his mom probably would have died as well. But, like, she was, like, going to call a doctor in. She wasn't going to leave her husband. She would have died.
This is, okay.
This is my... But the girlfriend and then the roommates probably wouldn't have died.
Yeah. They should have barricaded the door or the staircase. No zombie's going to figure out the elevator. Yeah. And they were going to be safe high up. Yeah.
Yep.
I guess and you're going to laugh at me, but my issue with this movie was that everyone was being kind of stupid and making dumb decisions constantly. And maybe that was the point. But it kind of took me out of it, where I was just like, every decision they're making is wrong. Why did these rational adults agree to go to a pub to hide from a zombie?
They're rational adults?
They're adults. Why did these adults decide that this is a good idea to go? They reference it at the end. They're like, why did the nerdy guy, why did I go to this pub with you guys?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
it's
a minor complaint.
I would just say rational adults, they're two separate households with three almost 30-year-olds who can't afford to...
I feel like you're shaming our socioeconomic system that is so horrible all over the Western world.
Okay, you're right. Fine.
Yeah.
What I'm saying,
check your privilege.
I'm just saying they spend every night in a pub regardless, so maybe their whole rational adult...
They're perfectly rational adults. What are you talking about?
Also, I mean...
Even the dumbest... my point is, even the dumbest human being who's ever lived is gonna know not to go to a bar to blow over a zombie apocalypse.
I think that, like, this argument just... I mean,
it's a minor
they're
complaint.
making fun of zombie movies, right?
Sure.
Like, where the
I'll give it
characters all do the thing that they shouldn't do.
Okay.
And you're frustrated at the TV. Like, no, don't go in there. That's where the killer is. I mean, that they're making fun of it. Like, obviously, it's dumb to go to a pub in the middle of a zombie apocalypse.
And that's not the only... There's just all over the movie, just the characters acting dumb and immature and...
Yeah. I mean, like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg's
tiny complaint.
But that's Nick
They're
Frost and
immature
Simon
guys,
Pegg's character, right? And for whatever reason, the rest of these people decide to follow these two
the
idiots.
Dumbest, immature people. Yeah, exactly. That's what
So-
I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, it's a tiny chink in the armor in an otherwise really great movie.
But like they said in the pub scene, the actress, right, telling... I forget what the actress's name is, but she's telling David, who's played by Dylan Moran, she's telling him, like, he's like, why did we follow you? And she is like nobody else was making a decision, nobody else was doing anything, and then he comes in and is like, I've got a plan and we're gonna do this.
There is a flimsy explanation. I agree. There is a flimsy explanation, which is better than no explanation, which a lot of really bad movies and really bad scripts do, the no explanation thing.
I could just totally see that happening in real life, though. Like, just following the person that seems like they know what they're doing and has a plan.
Sure.
That's a common
Okay. And again, I'm not trying.
Right?
I feel like we're talking a lot over this tiny thing that I don't. My other issue was. Oh, I don't have another issue. I don't.
What did you think about like the scenes in regards to like soundtrack specifically? I think we talked a little bit about the scene in the Winchester when Queen is playing, which, first of all, I loved the line, "Kill the Queen." What?
Yeah, that was great.
oh, the music.
Yeah. No, that was really great.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, yeah, it was odd. It kind of out of place, maybe, but didn't kill the scene or anything. Like,
see, I love that scene. That's like one of my favorite scenes, and it, like, I remember watching this movie for the first time and just thinking that was
the coolest scene.
Fucking
really
hysterical. Like, it's just so funny.
No, and I didn't get that from it.
I mean, yeah, like,
personally,
our sense of humor is very different, but.
They were like smacking him with pool cues. Like, that's not doing anything. That's what's going through my head. And I know that that's a completely different perspective than what other people had, but that's what was going through my head, was that they're just smacking him with pool cues. It's complete lunacy at this point.
Yeah.
All logic and reasoning is out the window. And not to say that it's tonally inconsistent. Yeah. There are, like I said, there are kind of somewhat different comedy styles. You could call them tones overall, but not to where they're inconsistent or incongruous with one another. But for my own personal, like, enjoyment or whatever, like, I was just like, this is silly. I'm neutral on it. Okay. I'm not like, this is bad, I'm not enjoying this. I'm just like smiling and just going, this is silly. They're having fun. Yeah. Edgar Wright clearly wanted to do this. And he's having fun making a movie. Nothing wrong with that. Other people are going to find it hilarious, and that's great. Yeah. But for me, it was just.
Yeah. Okay.
It is clear that, music is very important to Edgar Wright. With that scene, the movie just had a soundtrack that was clearly chosen by him.
The soundtrack itself was just good. Like, I think.
Were there 2 Queen songs? There was "Don't Stop Me Now" and there was.
At the end, they play "Best Friend."
You're right. That was the credit. That's the credits rolled. And then the scene where they were throwing the records, we kind of. Referred to it before, but they were saying, "Oh, this album." That was clearly all Edgar Wright, And I feel like I remember Hot Fuzz. I watched these like back to back in high school, and I remember with this way more than I remember Hot Fuzz. I barely remember Hot Fuzz. We were deciding whether to watch this or Hot Fuzz. We chose this because it's October, so it's got a horror theme, zombies, so COVID. It's also the older movie between the two, so we chose this one. But Hot Fuzz, I barely remember anything from it, but I feel like I remember that having
there's a lot of similar styles. I mean, even just the way that it was filmed and the quick cutting, editing, quick cutting.
Yeah, that's Edgar Wright's. Yeah, kind of his style. I was talking more about the soundtrack.
But the soundtrack, I'm trying to remember.
Well, then there was Baby Driver, which that's his that's his crescendo of his career, doing the movie he wants to make, where it's all the music is all there, it's all to the beat. It's kind of like that scene in Shaun of the Dead, kind of made into a whole movie.
I'm just trying to remember Hot Fuzz and then The World's End.
Yeah, so I haven't seen The World's End, the third in the Cornetto trilogy. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one, I like that one too.
Yeah, I hear good things about it.
I don't remember the soundtrack to them. I think that it definitely plays like a bigger role in this movie than it does the other two. Okay.
So it's 2021, and the zombie craze is, well, dead. No pun intended,
Will come back.
Oh, it'll come back. It'll
It'll
resurrect.
rise again.
Like a zombie.
Yes, and I'm saying that from like a historical context.
Oh yeah, the zombies have ebbed and flowed. We're in a pretty deep ebb at this point.
Yes, and I think also that not to get political or anything, but that it makes sense right now. I think perhaps with COVID, maybe as the writers go back and more movies are shot, maybe we'll see more of a
zombie
rise.
Movies. Yeah.
Zombie movies tend to have popularity when the world feels unstable. And I'm saying this from a class in college
Okay.
that specifically looked at zombie movies and how and why they're popular.
Oh, interesting.
And that is one context, one thing that has kind of proven itself like over time is that when the outside world around us feels out of our control, zombie movies tend to become popular. It's kind of a way to look at like a world that you can't control and like how to work through it, right? And survive, Well,
let's take a look at that. Okay, so there was Night of the Living Dead in the 60s, which Cold War, everyone thought we were going to be nuked. Dawn of the Dead in the 70s, which that is the one that really kind of kicked off the zombie genre, which had tons of imitators. Was the original, not the original, it's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. Then we had a bunch of zombie movies in the 70s and 80s. 90s, not so much, which the 90s are kind of known for their stability, post-Cold War, Bill Clinton's the president, he balanced the budget or whatever the hell he did. I don't know. Point is, the 90s are kind of known for their kind of
lack of zombie movies
and economic and cultural stability. Then we get Bush. We get
war.
Tons of instability, culturally, economically, socioeconomically. And then we get lots of zombie movies up until 2010-ish. Like Walking Dead came out in 2009. Or no, Walking Dead was 2011, I think. Zombieland was 2009. This might be what I'm thinking of. But point is, we're into the Obama era, and then all of a sudden, not as many zombie movies.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of the way it's been. So
it'll be interesting to see. I think
this post-COVID world.
I think maybe more so than zombie movies we might see. Like maybe that might feel a little too
on the nose,
close to reality.
Yeah.
Right?
I could see that being, like, really? They're making a zombie movie? Oh, it's got COVID metaphor? What? Did you catch the COVID metaphor in this 2023 zombie movie?
Right, yeah.
Wow, that's what big brain screenwriter did that. Wow. You don't want to be the first screenwriter to write a post-COVID zombie movie. You don't want to be that guy or gal. Right?
Yeah. I mean, no,
there have been zombie
remaking. What movie did we watch at the beginning of COVID?
Contagion. I think Steven Soderbergh, who did Contagion, is making another. I think he's making another virus movie. I think
there's gonna be a Contagion sequel.
What, the virus comes back?
I don't know.
Like, that one kind of ended.
He's working on a philosophical sequel to his pandemic thriller Contagion.
Philosophical sequel. So, yeah, he's making another pandemic movie, Steven Soderbergh.
So, you won't be no one out there will be the first to make a post-COVID Contagion virus
I was saying
movie.
Specifically zombie movie.
Yeah.
The post-COVID. If you're making a post-COVID virus movie where people are just getting sick, that's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we get it. But if you're going to make a post-COVID zombie movie, there's going to be heavy-handed, like, COVID parallels. And that'll feel a little like, we get it. If you're making a pandemic movie, it's a little more, I don't know, not as egregious or something. I know they're making a lot of COVID movies in general. One of them is going to be takes place in Seattle.
Yeah. I guess that's just how it works, right? I mean...
Oh, yeah, that was announced in, like, April 2020. Like, the minute COVID even remotely seemed scary, they were like, everyone's got the film rights.
I can't wait till, like, the movies come out and it's like, oh, post-COVID, blah, 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 while we're still living in COVID time.
Right.
Like,
no,
I have to wear a mask to watch this movie in the theater? It's not post-COVID time. It's still COVID time.
Yeah. Halloween Ends... Next year's Halloween movie, they came out and said it's going to take place 4 years in the future and it's going to address the COVID pandemic. So that first movie took place in 2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time Halloween Kills comes out or Halloween Ends comes out, it'll be 2022, 4 years later, and COVID will still be around. So that, yeah, I mean, Michael Myers with COVID, that's not going to be dated in 20 years.
Just what we need. Another Michael Myers movie with COVID. Like, it's
what everyone asked for. He's wearing a mask. It writes itself. It's genius. What movie were we talking about again? I feel like it's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about zombie movies. And I was going to ask you, are zombie movies, I mean, we kind of already answered this, but overdone, outplayed?
Personally, I think so. And I think that's why I like movies like this one. Another zombie movie that I quite enjoyed is Fido.
Yeah, you showed me that one.
Yeah.
That's the one about, like, the zombie. He's like a pet.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one that takes place in, like, a weird, like...
It's like the 50s.
50s future. It's like...
No,
it's like a fake 50s
It takes place in the 50s, but it's like... Yeah, it's not
There's
like a
was
fake
there,
future,
like, a little girl in that one?
There's a little boy.
Okay, and he owned Fido or something?
Was
that a British movie, too?
No. So his family... got a zombie servant.
Right.
Because this is a post-zombie world where...
It was kind of like at the end of this movie.
Yeah. Yes.
So Fido is a sequel to Shaun of the Dead.
Except in Shaun of the Dead, at the end of Shaun of the Dead, they can't control Ed. He's just tied up. Right.
With Fido, they had like a collar.
The collar, they like
maybe they build that later.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Right.
And we go back to 1950s time. Hey, who knows?
Yep. Feminism is over.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, right. We can all agree. Good.
Women, get back to the kitchen.
Finally. I've been waiting. We've all been waiting.
No, but that movie, I think that the typical zombie movie, like, and don't get me wrong, I think, like, the original Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, all of those, like, I enjoyed those. But it's been done, right?
There's a lot of...
It's been done.
Horror,
so I like the interesting takes on zombiness, like, comedy, obviously. I think this one is funny. They have some cool touches about, like, like we said before, the zombies kind of keeping a sense of themselves in there. Fido, where they, like, look at zombie but from, like, a different angle. I think those could definitely have more room for experimenting with that genre, but I think overall, like, Walking Dead, that kind of zombie movie, like, I'm all for post-apocalyptic dystopian stories. I live for those. I mean, those are some of my favorite, but in the zombie realm, it's overplayed.
It's overplayed. So you think a modern audience might be a little bit, like, maybe not inclined to watch this because they've seen every bit of zombie stuff to come out in the last 16 or so years?
Perhaps. I mean...
It's not, like, going to kill the movie, but...
Right. I mean, it's still totally worth a watch because it's not, like, your typical zombie movie. So even if you are completely over all of the zombie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's still worth a watch because it's funny. It looks at it like almost a satire of,
I was going to say,
of zombie movies.
Well, zombie movies, the good ones, you could say, they tend to be satires themselves.
Yeah.
You know, this satirizes zombie movies in a lot of ways. Obviously, it parodies zombie movies. Well, I don't know if that's super accurate to say it parodies zombie movies. It's not it doesn't spoof zombie movies. It's just kind of its own thing.
They take a lot of the like stereotypical zombie like key elements and
do they? I feel like it's just kind of a straightforward zombie movie that happens to be a comedy. Like, it doesn't spoof the genre. I mean, it's just part of the genre.
It is not like...
But there's comedy.
It's not like
paint on it.
What is like scary movie? It's not like
exactly.
scary
it's not
movie
a spoof.
to horror movies.
Yeah, exactly.
But they take a lot of the like the elements of zombie movies and I think like maybe make them to the absurd almost. Like kind of how you were saying, it's like, why are these people following these dumbasses, you know, who like are losers and don't amount to anything? So it's looking at it, you know, they're not following like the army guy or like the cop, you know, they're following a guy who works in an electronics store and a pot dealer.
It's very classist of you, but I see your point. I've been watching too much Hassan. I really have. It's ridiculous at this point. I don't even agree with half the things he says, but no, so you're touching on the last kind of thing I want to get into here are what are some of the like thematic elements that stood out to you. So I noticed a couple like potential themes here. One would be kind of growing up, becoming mature. Like there's a lot of talk about all these characters, how immature they are. You have Shaun, who's immature. You have Ed, who's obviously very immature. And you have the third roommate who's like, I'm growing up. I'm starting a real job. You guys need to grow up. Obviously, like growing up, becoming mature. That's a big one. The second one is maybe a little bit more subtle, you could say. But a lot of zombie movies do this as like, you know, humans as zombies, you know.
Like the opening sequence.
Yeah, the opening sequence, which was very much very blatant, like not in like a bad way.
Yeah,
like it's totally acceptable to do something like that. But yeah, you have all these people and they're going about their lives and they're looking sluggish, zombie-like. You know, what else can you say? And this isn't the first movie to do that. It won't be the last movie. It's the easiest. It's honestly the easiest thing you can do with a zombie story. Like Dawn of the Dead was, like the original Dawn of the Dead was just that. You know, malls were becoming big. And so people were shuffling around these malls like zombies. Yeah. So they made a commentary on that. That's what that movie was. So I feel like this movie kind of, once again, tackles that similarly. And it's mostly, I want to say it's mostly through its imagery. But you could also say like, you know, all these people are working dead-end jobs. They're not going anywhere, like a bunch of zombies. Yeah. So people as zombies before they become zombies is kind of the other thematic thing that jumped out at me.
Well, and just like how oblivious some of these characters are. I mean, and how wrapped up in their lives they are that like they don't even notice dead people shuffling around them. I mean, or like paying attention to the news in the background. They're like having these spats, you know, between each other where like they have the news channel on and there's like people in biohazard suits and they're not like not paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people as zombies. It's the oldest trick in the book for zombie movies. And then, yeah, the other one would be kind of growing up, you know, becoming more mature. Maybe even acceptance. Like that was kind of with Shaun and his stepdad. Yeah. He ended up calling him his dad. Yeah. At the end. Yes. Any other like acceptance, like accepting people for who they are?
I would say Ed also probably accepted the fact that he's the one that's holding.
Did he?
Yeah. I mean, because they're in the cellar and Shaun is like, Ed, come on, we gotta go. And he's like, I'm gonna just stay here. And he's like, I'd only hold you back.
Yeah.
Which is a callback to...
Did
So
he yell at him? Did the roommate yell at him?
David.
Is that the third
Oh,
roommate?
no. Their other roommate said that, and I think David also said that. So the nerdy guy with the glasses, I think he also said that like Ed is holding Shaun back.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's nice for a movie like this to have themes. You know, it's not like the deepest stuff in the world.
Well, and you know, and to that point too, that just made me realize even acceptance of
Shaun and his mother.
Shaun and Ed's friendship and relationship. Because the end of the movie, he's back with his girlfriend. And he's like, I'm just going to pop in the garden real quick. And she's like, yeah, okay. Just a couple of minutes, you know, knowing like, yeah, okay, you're going to go play video games with your best friend.
Oh, so she's accepted
their friendship.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I was saying, it is cool that this movie is smart and clever enough to include things like that, to give it that little extra depth than a lot of movies or comedies tend to have.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's like the characters didn't feel like flat either. Okay. Right? I mean, because they're like, you even get like backstory to the roommates, right? Like you learn that Shaun and the other roommate, the one who becomes a zombie, I mean, it's like that's their flat. And Ed is staying there and has been for like 5 years at least, right? And then the other flat and the girlfriend's flat, it's like they've all known each other since college. David is in love
with Liz. Shaun's girlfriend.
Yep, Shaun's girlfriend. And then the actress and David start a relationship.
But she's accepted. She literally says, I've accepted.
That you love Liz.
But here we are.
But she doesn't want you. Like, accept it yourself. Yeah. I mean, so there's... I like that even though, like, Shaun is, like, is the central character, it's still an ensemble piece and you still learn so much about the other characters around him. Yeah,
I agree. It's a very good script, very well written. All around. So, kind of a dumb question, but does Shaun of the Dead hold up?
Minus the glaring, like, outdated humor in a couple senses, you know. Homophobia and...
the N-word.
Yeah. I think it does. So, besides that, the movie does hold up. I find it just as funny as I did when I saw it in 2004.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you think it held up?
Yeah, I think so too. You know, primarily this is a comedy, and as a comedy, it works really well. Yeah. I think most people will still find it very funny. And then, you know, if you want just a little bit more out of your movies, you're going to get a really clever, depthful script that will keep you interested in that regard as well. Like I said, I have some just a little bit of pushback with some of the humor. Just didn't completely work for me. I thought like how dumb the characters acted also took me out of it a little bit. And then one thing I didn't mention too, I thought the action scenes were generally filmed very awkwardly. A lot of like incongruencies with like the time. Like a zombie would be walking towards them and like they'd be in the car and there's like time worked differently in this world. And that's okay. Yeah. And then the action scenes I thought were filmed kind of awkward, but these are like tiny misses in an otherwise fantastic movie that I think holds up very, very well. And I would highly recommend watching it if you haven't. Cool. Hey, hope you enjoyed the episode. Let us know what your thoughts are on Shaun of the Dead in the comments if you've got them, and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode. Let us know in the comments what movie you'd like us to look back on next, and keep an eye out for our Last Night in Soho episode coming out early next week. For more content, find us on YouTube or visit doesitholdup.com. Thanks for listening.